Welcome to the Mind Out podcast, a space where we explore the layered realities of identity, migration, and mental health through raw conversations and reflective storytelling. I am your host, Ngalim Lidwin, and today we are diving into a topic that sits at the intersection of finance, emotion, and belonging. In this episode, investing in real estate as an African abroad versus investing back home as an African who lives abroad. We are going to unpack the emotional and financial journey of African migrants navigating property ownership across continents. For many Africans living abroad, to be specific, real estate is more than just an investment. For some, it is a symbol of arrival. For others, a tool for generational wealth. And for some, it could be a bridge to a homeland that may feel both near and far. We will hear from guests who've built homes in Europe and Africa, and we will explore the tensions, the triumphs, and the trade-offs that come with planting roots in two worlds, from legal risks and cultural expectations to emotional attachments and strategic planning. This is not just about property. It's about identity, it's about legacy, and it's also about the quiet calculations of where we choose to belong. Thank you once more for accepting to come to our podcast.
Thank you very much.
And like I normally do in this podcast, I would rather give my invitees, my guests, the honor to introduce themselves because I might miss out something, and that is, for me, something that is not allowed. So I want to give you the honor to introduce yourself to our listeners, to our viewers. Can you please tell us who you are, what you do, and not necessarily what you do, if you don't mind, but just tell us who is Phil.
All right. Thank you very much again, Mr. Lidwin. It's an honor to be here on the Mind Out podcast. My name is Philip Mekwebe, popularly known as Phil. And, I'm so happy to be here. I've been in Belgium for nearly 10 years now. I came in as a student from Cameroon, and now we're here.
Thank you very much. So, like we normally do, we dive straight into our topic. But before we get into, the business of real estate and all whatnot, like you did mention, you've been in Belgium already for close to or over 10 years, like you mentioned. So I always like to know, I think most of my guests or all of my guests that have been on this podcast already so far have been people who came from another country. So take us back to the moment that you arrived in Belgium. So what were your expectations? What did you think about Belgium? Or just take us back 10 years ago, the moment you first arrived Belgium. What did you think about it, Belgium? And of course, what were your expectations?
All right. Back then, when I of course, I got to Belgium with the ambition, aim of coming to study.
Yeah.
So the primary focus at the time was studies. And arriving in Belgium, I must be very honest, I was very shocked. Yeah. Not just the culture shock itself, that's one part of it.
Yeah.
But, since we were talking about real estate and property, I was extremely shocked when I got to see
the infrastructure
in Belgium. It was my first time actually experiencing that, and I felt like maybe I was in the wrong place or...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
really.
maybe you're in the wrong place, or yeah, is it that you never expected it, or you never expected?
I didn't expect it.
Oh, you never expected it. Okay, so were you overwhelmed with how developed Belgium was, or you were like, oh, was it something that you were like, oh, you never expected it to be this underdeveloped, or were you amazed on how developed the infrastructure was?
Okay, first of all, when you say you're going to Europe, your
Yeah,
expectations obviously are very high.
yeah,
So maybe that's where I fell short because, of course, I'm moving to a more advanced country,
yeah.
and in terms of infrastructure, I expected to see something that was going to wow
A lot
me.
more.
Yes,
Something like Dubai, the USA.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, I'd been to Asia before
Ah,
coming
yeah.
before,
Okay.
before
Okay.
coming to Europe. So
Yeah, yeah. I understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
I try to compare
Yeah.
that, and also based on where I'm coming from back in Cameroon, I think, well, I thought we had kind of at the time I'd say better infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah, but coming here, especially as a student, you get into the courts and you feel like you're in a cage. And
Yeah. So
that's something we're never really told.
for our viewers who do not understand what you meant by the court is like the student rooms. Yeah, like you get into the student rooms. It's normally a small room with just very very basic. No, a sleeping space, and then
And when you try to compare, because this is uni level,
yeah,
when you try to compare with what we have back home at our university,
like the university hostels.
university hostels, it's really really big difference.
Yeah,
In the university hostels, we have for a decent room, you get a very good sized room with a good sized bed, and sometimes with a bathroom and kitchen. But here, that is what we call a studio.
there's a studio. Yeah,
And sometimes you even get a studio without a toilet in it. You just get, as long as it has maybe a kitchenette.
yeah.
So not a fully equipped kitchen, not a full kitchen, a full size kitchen, but something that looks like a kitchen. They call it a studio.
Yeah.
So that's already the first jaw fall I had.
So that means you must have been a very very unique student, because a lot of students who come to Belgium, they just wow with anything. Like if they see anything, wow, everything, they're like, wow, the nice room, wow, everything. But there's a couple of students that come and then they are like, oh, okay, this one is I thought I would have expected much more, and then so you are in that very 1% of students who, of course, like you said, you did travel already. You had been to other countries, and of course, your expectations were already kind of high.
Definitely.
So, what did home mean to you at that time? Was it where you were living, or was it somewhere else entirely?
Well, for me, home hasn't really been a particular place.
Yeah.
I always like to see myself as a global citizen.
Okay.
So even if I don't have multiple nationalities, I always feel the importance for me to be able to travel and live anywhere in the world.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily where I live, but well, it would be fair to say where I live presently should be home.
Yeah.
Because that is where I probably will grow my family and maybe, grow myself as a person, family-wise, investments and everything.
So what you're saying now kind of looks like now, yeah. So but take us back to the first 2-3 years that you moved to Belgium, and of course you had these expectations. You had seen that it wasn't actually what people had hyped Belgium to be, but still, of course, you continued living in Belgium, and so after having stayed in Belgium for the first 3 years, did you at any point say, okay, it's not what I really expect in terms of infrastructure, but of course, I would say you also had other things that were like push factors for wanting you to stay in Belgium. So when did you decide that this could be a place that I would stay longer than 5, longer than 6, and now you're 10 years?
All right. I'll go back to the time when you start applying for a visa.
Yeah.
There's a common question that everybody prepares for.
Yeah.
They're likely to ask you, are you planning to stay? Or, I mean, generally, the visa officer wants to make sure that you're not going to remain.
To stay, yeah, you're going to come back.
So I used to say the job of a visa officer is not to grant you a visa, but to make sure that they don't grant you a visa. So yes. So from that, when the likely answer is that you don't plan to stay.
Yeah.
And well, it may be true for some people, it may be false. But the thing is, at the time when we try to move, you're just simply being ambitious. You just want to make it. You're going for greener pastures. Like in my case, I was coming for studies.
Yeah.
And so the plan at the time was, okay, you go, you study, whatever life holds for you in the future, you embrace it.
Yeah.
I've always been open to whatever opportunities may come.
Yeah.
And so coming to Belgium, the primary aim was study.
Okay.
And then as time goes on, you feel like, okay, maybe this is a place you can stay. So a lot of things happen, a lot of changes, a lot of mindset. Your mindset gets changed in a way, and you feel like, okay, maybe this could be home.
Okay.
Not necessarily, but you feel like, okay, you can make this place home, and then you want to stay longer.
Okay.
So it's about adaptation.
Okay, take us here. So now you mentioned something quite interesting. The part where you want to stay longer. I understand that you came as a student, and then of course we know that when students come, they normally have like a visa that requires them to stay within the term of their studies. If you have a program that if you have a 1 year program, then you're gonna get a 1 year visa. You get a 3 year program, then of course you get a renewable, but after 3 years you're required to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So you come as a student, and then of course you see that Belgium is nice, and then you did mention that you decided, or you kind of start thinking about staying longer. So are you still a student making this decision to want to stay longer, or you completed your studies? So of course our listeners and our viewers want to understand your trajectory. So you come as a student, and then you decide to stay longer. So of course, not necessarily the details. Just take us when you decide to stay longer, and how do you now stay longer?
So you mentioned something. You mentioned maybe I came and I discovered Belgium is nice.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's not about Belgium being nice.
Yeah.
When you try to compare, say for example, back home and here, and you realize, okay, after my studies, what am I going back to?
Yeah.
It's not like I have nothing at all to go back to.
Yeah.
Of course, when I was filling the forms, I had to show.
Yeah, I have to show proof that you have to stop. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
But then a lot of things change along the way. So for example, I just give a general example, not a personal example, though it might be personal still.
Yeah.
So you stay here for a while. You get into relationships, you meet people, you meet friends.
Yeah.
You get to interact with people, and you fall in love, perhaps.
Yeah.
And then
so you fell in love.
I'm not saying me.
You give an example. So that it was the most example. It was the only example that was interesting to me.
Well, let's say I fell in love.
Okay.
And decided to maybe want to settle with the person.
Because that's one of the highest things that make people stay. Because when they fall in love, and you don't want to go back and leave your loved one behind.
Of course. So when you fall in love and you feel like you want to make a family, you want to do the very best for your family.
Of course.
And of course, you need to make sure that you establish yourself where you can guarantee security.
Exactly.
For yourself and for your family.
Okay. So now that we are talking about property, and then we understand that you came as a student, because it's very important to take it chronologically. So there's a lot of people might just say, oh, you come to Belgium, start investing. Of course, there is a process. And all these things are happening within years. Mm-hmm. So you come to Belgium, you finish studies, or I don't know, you come to Belgium, you study, you fall in love, you start living in Belgium, and of course, the next thing in your mind is, like you said, you start thinking about how to take care of your family, social security, financial sustainability, and all this kind of stuff. So my next question is going to be, did you grow up in with examples of real estate owners, like in the family? Did you have family members that were into real estate? Did you have, for instance, did you inherit some properties? And if yes, how did all of those things, or how did those experiences shape your view about investing, and especially investing abroad?
Okay, so if I understand your question correctly, you're trying to understand how
you got
developed interest in real estate and all of that.
Exactly.
Okay. First of all, I don't really come from a family of people who do real estate.
Yeah.
I would like to give a disclaimer. I'm not a real estate expert.
Yeah. It's very important to give the disclaimer.
I just managed to own property.
Okay.
And then if I look at my family background or where I grew up, back in the day, we could easily define a successful person by someone who at least owns his own house.
Yeah.
So this is like a cultural thing.
Yeah.
From back home. So at least you must own a home.
Yeah, of course. This is something that is very common in most African countries. When you own properties, then you kind of like you identify differently.
Good. And you realize that irrespective of whatever you do, whether you're a poor man,
yeah,
or an average income earner, or a very rich man, you must at least have something to call your own.
Yeah.
And that is a legacy you leave for your children and the children to come.
Yeah.
So it all starts from there. In my family, for example, my dad owns his own house.
Yeah.
And he doesn't only own a house in town where we live. He also owns one in the village.
Okay.
And as someone who grew up in the village, well, from what I gather, from what I get to understand,
yeah,
they were passed. I mean, they got to, the entire family.
They inherited it.
Got to inherit, no, not inherit the house.
Okay.
But they got to inherit an estate.
Okay.
In which anyone could own property in it.
Okay.
So, from what I understand, you are free to come there and build whatever you want to build.
Okay.
So it's like a family estate.
All
the children are welcome to do something.
Nice.
And that was the expectation of every child of that bloodline.
To invest in that particular estate or outside of the estate?
In that estate, you must build a house.
Okay.
At least. For your children, for your family.
Okay.
So that whenever you visit the village, you have a place to stay.
Wow.
That is one.
Okay.
And then I also realize, I mean, like I mentioned, even whether you're poor or rich or whatever, you need to at least own a house.
Yeah.
So I have, I know a few people who are really, really not doing well in life, I should say.
Yeah.
But the struggle back home is that they should at least build something for themselves. So it's a kind of general mindset to show that, okay, you have lived. You need to show that you have actually lived up to some expectation.
Yeah.
You're raising a family. You need to leave something back for them. That is the culture from which we come from. You must leave something back for your children.
So now that you're explaining this and pointing it to the fact that it's a family something, and considering that now that you moved to Europe a couple of years ago, did you feel pressure from family or from the culture that you're mentioning, or from the peers to own a property abroad or at home?
Not at all. I was never pressured.
Okay.
I was never pressured into owning any property.
Okay.
Nobody ever came to tell me, "Oh, you should buy land or you should buy a house."
But considering the fact that it was like a family something, that you have this estate and then it's just left for you to come and invest. So I might assume that you might kind of have like some sort of pressure. Because for someone who doesn't have a real estate like myself, and of course my family is not going to come and tell me, hey, go and build. The estate is there already. I will say, did you give me money to buy the plot? So for someone like me, first, or for some other listeners, they would need to go and get an estate, get a plot, before even thinking about investing. Good. But if the estate is there, or if the plot is there already, and you are not investing, they might ask you questions. What are you doing? So didn't you at any point get this kind of?
So the thing is, it's like I said, it's well, I feel like it's a kind of subconscious thing, you know. I was never under any pressure or under any influence.
Okay.
I just had to mention this as a background because looking at it now, I actually realized that this is actually what defined success for us.
Yeah, of course.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So my journey into real estate is just the need for me to sustain.
Okay.
In the future. So it was just a way for me to ensure that I can guarantee something for future.
Okay, now that it's good it's good that you're clarifying this, since it wasn't an obligation, but given the fact that you were now in Belgium, you started traveling abroad, many countries. Was there a particular turning point that made you feel like owning a property was no longer just a dream, but a necessity? And to just take us back to that point where you sat and you said, okay, even though I'm not being pressured, it's not an obligation, it's a free will, now I need to invest. Take us back to that point.
Okay. Funny enough, it's not long when I had that consciousness.
Okay.
Although the consciousness came after I already had property.
Okay.
You know, my journey into real estate actually started with buying plots of land.
Okay. Where was that? Buying plots in your home country?
I'm coming. So going back to when I just moved to Belgium.
Okay.
For most of us immigrants, actually, as you put it.
Yeah.
When you move abroad, aside taking care of family, you want to own something back home.
Indeed.
For some people, it's owning a business.
Exactly.
For some people, they want to secure their finances in terms of landed property. It's very common.
Yeah.
So it's also like a cultural thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that is where it started for me. So for me, it was more like just buy some plots of land, just buy something and keep there. When you have the finance, when you have the funds,
then you can start something.
But then you realize, especially, I mean, if you came in the way we came, it's difficult for you to actually say you can successfully save 10, 20 million in a year or in a number of years to start erecting something.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's something that takes time.
Yeah, of course, it takes.
And sometimes even if you set that goal and you start, a lot of things come here.
Of course,
family drama. This friend, this uncle, this aunties. I mean, people are always in need. Even you yourself, you realize that there are times when you feel broke and you have to go into your savings.
Yeah, of course.
So it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, we're going to get to the savings part because it's a good one. We're going to get to the savings and all that. No.
So coming back to Belgium, I mean, after buying some property back in Cameroon, I felt like, I mean, if I'm already settling in Belgium, why not just establish myself fully? And in order to establish myself fully, I had to go back to culture.
Cool.
The culture of having to own your own property.
Yeah.
At least.
Great.
At the time, when you're buying especially your first property, it feels like an investment. But I'd like to make that disclaimer. It's not really an investment until it is. You know, maybe we can come to that.
Yeah, of course.
So it's more about being comfortable where you are.
Yeah.
So for me, buying a home was a way for me to establish myself and for me to feel comfortable in my environment, in my place of residence.
Yeah.
That's what was more important for me at the time.
Great. And you did kind of answer this question already because I wanted to. There was a question about what was your first property investment? You did say you bought a land, yeah, and so what did it symbolize for you? What did it for you? How did you feel when you purchased your very first investment? What was the symbolic? What did it symbolize to you?
Well, buying land back home, I mean, I can't really say how it felt, but now that I think of it, I think it actually gives me some importance within society, within the family. I wouldn't say I feel wealthy, but of course I should feel wealthy because
of course, not everybody not everybody buys a land.
True. So I think it makes me feel important, at least within the family.
I think when people who have landed properties in Africa and most other countries, you kind of have like a social class where you feel you kind of belong in you belong in a particular kind of social class because not everybody can purchase a landed property. It's not everybody can buy a car. Not everybody can buy a car. Not everybody can buy a bicycle. But when it comes to landed properties,
funny enough, that's a struggle. That's a struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot.
But not everybody actually gets there.
Yeah. So now we are going to the crossroads. Now this is when we start looking into the border side. So what were your initial fears or doubts about buying a property in Europe? Now we are in Europe.
Okay.
Or before I even asked about buying property in Europe, do you have property in Europe so that let our viewers understand?
I already mentioned I have a home in Europe.
Yeah, you did say you have a home in Europe, but we don't know if you bought this property. So it's good because we don't want to confuse our listeners. We want to make it clear. So you did say you have a home in Europe,
yes.
But did you buy this home?
Yes, of course. When I say
Excellent.
I have a home, I don't mean I'm renting or something.
I mean, so some people can say I have my home, they have their home, and then they're renting, and then they feel like it's their home. So it's.
I'm trying not to use the wrong words here. I mean, practically yes, it is my home. I own it.
Yeah,
but
of course you have the keys, and
yes,
then you don't have a landlord.
The title is in my name and everything.
Exactly.
I don't have a landlord.
Exactly.
But financially speaking, it belongs to the bank.
But you have a home. You have the keys.
All right, we can proceed.
Great. So you bought a house in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So before you bought this house, what were your fears and what were your doubts about buying property in Europe? Because a lot of migrants, some of the migrants that I know that could buy like 1, 2, 3, 5 houses, have no houses in Europe, have no property in Europe because they have a lot of fears. They have a lot of doubts. They don't trust the system. They have a lot of fears.
And that is true. When you say a lot of people don't trust the system, that is true, especially for immigrants. Because first of all, I used to get, there's a kind of stereotype within immigrants that whatever you have here is not yours.
It's not yours. Yes.
So that wasn't something I was ever afraid of.
Okay.
Because I felt like, if you tell me whatever I have here is not mine, which means if I have to leave this place, I should be able to sell. You get? So if I own property here and I decide not to live in Belgium anymore, and say, for example, I have to do away with my social security and everything, then I should be able to sell.
Correct.
And get rid of it. Get my hands off it, So I don't really concur with that statement. Yeah, of course, for a lot of people, they still have their reservations about the system and everything.
So that means you had no fear or doubts?
That was the first thing that actually came to my mind, the fear of, owning something and not eventually ripping off it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a fear anymore.
Is it because you've traveled a lot? Is it because you've been here for so many years, or is it because you because maybe some people, because maybe you might be because there are immigrants and immigrants. Some immigrants are temporary immigrants. Some immigrants are permanent immigrants. Some immigrants are just passerbys. So is it because you already made up your mind that Belgium is going to be your home? You're going to live here. You're going to bring up your family. Bring up your kids. Bring up your kids in Belgium. Is it because you decided that you're going to be here, or is it because you have a permanent resident that you had no doubt? Because I can imagine for someone who does not have a permanent resident in Belgium wanting to buy a house in Belgium, they have double feelings.
Okay, we can come to the permanent residence part.
Okay,
but like I earlier mentioned, I like to see myself like a global
citizen, like you said.
Yes. So it's not about having some kind of guarantee like permanent residence or nationality or whatever.
Yeah.
I still feel that my home right now is Belgium.
Just for now.
It could change tomorrow.
As a global citizen, you are up and down.
Very good.
You travel a lot anyway, so
yes.
So if you say that,
I like to explore different cultures, and when you get to other places, you get to appreciate different things, especially about their own social security, and you feel like maybe you should belong here. So if I have the opportunity to settle in other places and I can establish myself there properly and legally, of course, I can still make that place home if I feel that it befits me, considering family and every other thing.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So the decision for me to wanting to own a home and not be afraid of buying property in Belgium simply just comes from the need to have to establish residence and just make it home, just make it feel like home.
Where you are for the moment.
Yes.
Great.
And of course, I mean, I talked about if I have to leave, I can still sell. I don't necessarily need to sell.
Okay. Yeah, of course you can. As a global citizen, you can be anywhere and then own property anywhere.
Yes. And that is one of the intricacies in owning property or owning real estate.
Yeah.
Because for me, I also believe that real estate itself is not wealth until you make it wealth.
Indeed.
You make it wealth in the sense that you can actually make it bring in cash flow, or you're saving through real estate.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, the wealthiest people in the world right now are into real estate.
And they don't own their real estate in the country where they live in.
They don't necessarily.
A lot of them a lot of them live in, for instance, in the US, and they have real estate in Dubai.
Very good. And when you hear there is this person is really wealthy, it's not really about the fiscal cash,
about the cash in the account,
cash in the bank or whatever.
It's the asset they have.
The wealth is measured by the assets they have.
Great. Wow, that's a nice one. And so you might be surprised that I'm going to be asking a lot of questions in regards to immigrants, because it's as an immigrant,
I understand.
As an immigrant, we have a lot of things going on in our minds.
I understand.
Did you ever feel torn between building a life in Europe? When I mean by building a life, and I mean by you've now lived here, you now started investing. Because it's different from just living in Europe,
yes,
and then keeping your money in Europe. So did you ever felt torn between building a life in Europe instead of in Cameroon? Because when you went at the point where you said, okay, I'm going to buy a property in Europe. Of course, you live in Europe, and then at the same time, as a Cameroonian that you are,
you also want to invest back home.
You also want to invest back home. And then you're looking at the money that you're putting in Belgium, and then you're saying, I should be putting this money back home. I shouldn't be, this place is already developed. I should be developing my.
That is true. But I'll have to disagree a little bit.
Okay.
And I feel like, for me personally, that's one of the mistakes I made early on.
Okay.
Trying to invest back home. Initially you already feel like your primary intention is for you to come live here, make a life,
and
then retire home.
Yeah.
But you realize as time goes on, your life is actually here.
Yeah.
So for me, I started investing back home.
Oh, because you started investing back home already.
like I said, I own property back home as well.
So, but you did mention that you bought your first land in Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
So did you invest? Did you buy other properties?
Of course, I have more.
Yeah, of course. We have to know. We have to know so that we are based on what you're saying. We can be. It's good to know. So
yes.
you have a what kind of properties? It's interesting for us to know. What kind of properties do you have back home?
I have multiple plots of land back home.
Okay, I mean you don't need to you don't necessarily need to give us the details, but just don't have, if you just tell us plots and then maybe
buildings.
Some buildings. You don't need to tell us. Okay, I have number of just.
No, I don't need to give.
Don't give us the details.
I don't need to give.
Because I don't have security guards outside. I don't have security because I don't want anybody because there are no security guards here and. Just give us okay, I have this.
This is like an expose right now. I thought we were going to keep this civil.
No.
It's important to know I have multiple properties back home, and
okay.
I don't regret owning property back home, but I have a little bit of reservation when it comes to investing back home.
Okay.
In the sense that it's always good to put your money where you can actually manage it.
So does that mean that the investments that you have back home were investments that they were early investments long time ago?
Yes. Okay. I have apart from real estate and property, I also had other investments
like businesses.
It's other businesses as well.
Okay.
So I'm really talking from the point of having businesses where you are not there to manage.
Okay.
It's really a big no for me right now.
Okay.
But for property, I think I can still do that.
Okay.
Back home.
So you had no mixed feelings here when you started investing in Europe? Because I would imagine since you already had a couple of.
It was actually a conscious decision because at the point I felt like, but what is the need for me to be moving everything back home?
Where you live here?
I can't actually. Yes, while I live here, I can't actually experience or reap up the fruit of that investment myself.
Yeah. Right.
I should actually be in control and know what is happening and try to understand, maybe how the markets are playing and all of that. So it was actually intentional for me to want to own property here.
Great. And can you share a moment when the weight of that decision hit you? Maybe now let's talk about legal issues or cultural clash or financial risk, because I can assume that investing in Cameroon, like you did purchase properties already in Cameroon, and the method with which you got these properties might not necessarily be the same in terms of the legal procedures and in terms of course, the cultural clash, maybe paperwork, whatever.
Yeah.
So, can you share a moment when you started, where you felt like, oh, you might have made the wrong decision?
Not necessarily the wrong decisions, but maybe I can just try to highlight a few differences I encountered.
Okay.
Buying property back home, say for example, land.
Yeah.
Right. The procedure, you go to whoever is selling, you have an agreement, you pay, you go see a lawyer, they make a deed.
So it can be done in like a week.
It can be done even in a day. I've bought property and we even signed a deed on a Sunday.
What?
Yes.
And with the notary?
In Cameroon,
the notary works on Sunday. Yeah?
You only need to see a lawyer.
Wow.
Of course, there are different fees you need to pay here and there.
Okay.
But you can arrange all of that with a lawyer and say, just go ahead and do everything. Their work is to actually make sure that those documents are legal. So they prepare a deed for you, an agreement between you and the seller, and the transfer of ownership and everything.
Yeah.
So the lawyer's job is to make sure that that deed is registered in court.
Okay.
So sometimes we make a deed, they might make a deed and it's never registered in court, and you feel like you actually own property.
So now, now you're taking us to another very big topic, because now you've registered something and then it's kind of like fake.
Yes.
And then
you feel you own it, but it is fake.
But you don't own it, but you've paid for it.
You've paid for it.
And you've paid huge sums of money.
Very huge sums of money.
Wow. Okay. So okay. Now take us back. Okay, because you've experienced these two.
And the thing too with that is in Cameroon sometimes land is not really your own until you have a land title.
Okay.
And the process of obtaining a land title in Cameroon is not that straightforward either. You know, there's actually an age limit. I hear the first time I bought property, they told me I cannot have a land title because I wasn't, I think, 33 or 35, something like that. So, I was really shocked by that. But yeah.
But so you can't, if you're what is the adult age in Cameroon? The adult age in Cameroon should be for a boy should be
having
should be 19, 18.
Having a land title in Cameroon doesn't necessarily mean
you're an adult.
You're an adult.
You need to be a man.
You need to be a man. So that's the difference.
Wow.
That's the difference. So so many people go around with deeds of conveyance, which simply states that this property has been transferred from this person to this person.
But it's not.
But you don't
own it.
Property rights to that piece of property.
So did you ever own a property? Did you ever have like a deed of ownership or? That's the topic of another day.
It's in process.
Okay. So
yes, then I couldn't, but now I can. So I think it's an ongoing process. Like I said, it's very complex.
Okay.
And you know, in Cameroon, most of the time you have to know people who know people.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you need to go through this route. The difference now in Belgium is, in Belgium, we have the portals, we have the online platforms where you can always go and see
your deeds and see your everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in Belgium, for you to acquire property, you need to have an agreement with whoever is selling. Of course, the seller already has the titles. Then when you finalize everything, the pricing and all of that, the contract and whatever you have to do, you just need to see how do you call it? The notary. The notary,
yeah.
So the notary does the transfer. So the notary actually works with the government.
So did you face did you encounter any difficult moments that made you to start saying, oh, maybe I would have not invested in Europe? Or did you encounter anything that made you think like, oh, I would have rather invested everything in Europe? Because now you're explaining the differences between investing in Cameroon, because now you have experiences in Cameroon whereby you have a property and you don't actually own it.
Yes.
And now that you started investing in Europe, in Belgium to be particular, to be precise, and you started going through the paperwork, started going through the notary, started going through the Belgian system, and you see how the Belgian system is. Do you now start thinking like, oh, maybe I would have invested everything in Belgium because of the way, I don't know, how easy it is or how simple it is, or maybe how complex is it?
Unfortunately, when I first had the idea of investing, I had a very big jaw drop.
Okay.
In the first time I attempted to buy property in Belgium,
yeah,
it failed for me.
Okay.
It failed in the sense that I lost money. I lost my deposit.
Okay.
So I forgot to mention, in Belgium normally, I mean at the time when I started buying, you needed, in the Flemish region, you needed to deposit.
There's a certain percentage that you deposit.
10%. 10% of the property's worth.
Yeah.
Based on your agreement.
Yeah.
So the first time I tried, I actually deposited that money.
But you signed a deed. You signed the compromise. What do you call it?
Yes, I already signed a compromise with the real estate agent.
So that means you had to buy it.
So once you sign that, it means you
have
must
to
buy.
Yes.
So
you didn't know about this?
I didn't. Well, I knew about it, but I didn't. What happened was, I wasn't able to get a loan at the time.
But normally when you sign it, there's always like two options. I'm signing because I've had confirmation from my bank that I can get a loan, or I'm signing because I still don't have confirmation. And when you don't get confirmation, you now, of course, you need proof from the bank that the bank cannot give you the loan. Mm-hmm. And then I think you maybe need like other banks or something like this.
Of course, the thing is, normally you have to go through different financial institutions.
Yes, you have to go. Yes,
it's not actually to know whether you can get a loan. It's maybe you're looking for the best interest rates.
Yeah, of course.
Paybacks and all of that.
Yeah.
So we did all of that, went through all that process. But what caused me not to get the loan was my document at the time.
Okay.
So as at the time, I wasn't a permanent resident yet.
Okay.
And it's really surprising for me because I go to other countries. Say you go to the US or even in the UK.
Yeah.
I hear even a student can actually acquire property.
Oh, so in Belgium, if you're not a permanent resident, you can't acquire a property.
It's not possible.
Oh,
So
really?
that's what I didn't know then.
Oh, but is it possible
Not
now?
necessarily permanent resident. Let's not make a mistake. If you don't have a long-term residence, so we're looking at something like 5 years residence at the time.
Okay, so that means if you are on a work contract for let's say if a company, if you have like
If you're
a
an
sponsor,
expat,
if you're an expat with 1 year visa,
you cannot.
you cannot buy, because expats do have like yearly renewable
Yes.
Visas.
Yes.
So they can't
then
buy.
then
The same
you're-
for students.
Same for
So
students.
students do have like yearly
Yes.
renewable.
So as at the time, I was still a student,
Okay.
but I had the money to do the deposit.
Oh, but it was not legally possible.
It wasn't legally possible because
Wow.
no bank would accept. To
Yeah,
give me
because
the money.
yeah, that makes sense.
No bank will accept to give me the money, so I lost my deposit.
Oh, wow.
So you pay you already pay 10%, and then
That 10% should be like, it's a lot of money.
that's a lot of money.
Wow. Wow.
We are talking thousands and tens.
Yeah, those are tens of thousands.
yes. So
Wow.
that's,
wow.
that's money. That's money we just.
So
I
this-
don't even know where the money went. Whether it was to the property owners or to the real estate agents or whoever, but we lost the money.
Wow. This is that's a lot.
Yeah.
So after having going through all this, but yeah, I would say that it was probably a mistake from your side, since you didn't research on the do's and don'ts or the legal requirements. And then, but of course, let's fast forward. After that, you still bought other properties. Of course, you must have understood the system, and then you now went ahead and started investing. So let's compare now the successful investment that you made in Europe. If you want to compare it with the ones you made in back in Cameroon, which one is more
profitable?
Not profitable. Now we are still talking of
Which is more of advantage?
no, not the advantage. We are still at the level of the bureaucracy. Which
Yes,
one?
okay.
Where is it much easier, more secure, more sure? We're not yet talking about the return on investment.
It's always more sure or more secure where you are. Like I said,
Okay.
it's good to put your money where you can actually manage
Okay.
by yourself.
Okay.
You know, and apart from that, I mean, right now I'm at this point in my life, I'll prefer to maybe go buy a property in the UK
Okay.
than I'm going to buy in Cameroon right now,
Okay.
because I can easily go to the
Can
UK
easily go
if
to the
anything
UK.
happens.
Yeah.
Or I
Yeah.
can easily, I mean, it's easy for me to manage. I trust the system more. Although, well, I don't really trust the UK system that much, because I hear they have a law where if a building stays unoccupied,
Occupied. Yeah. They think
not the government takes, but anybody who goes in there and establishes residence owns the property.
I think I watched some YouTube guys
I think
who go ahead and
it also happens in some states in the US.
yeah. I think that there's some YouTubers who go around in searching for these unhabitable houses, and when they find one, they just pack in and then stay there for some time, and then after that they're going to declare, we are now here, and then. So if I would ask you now, do you feel like investing abroad is more secure or more predictable?
I think investing abroad is more secure if you know what you're doing.
Okay, so you wouldn't advise anyone to invest in back home, like you said, if they don't live back home.
Yes.
For immigrants who don't live, of course, immigrants we live here, except immigrants who have decided to pack their luggages, pack their stuff, and go back. You can advise them to invest back home.
The thing, the mistake we make is we trust maybe family or friends a lot.
Okay.
But the truth is, those people cannot really manage your stuff like you would. You feel the pain of making that money. They don't. They only see the money coming.
Now that you're talking about family, did when you decided to invest, or now that you're talking about investing, if you were to invest, you're going to invest in Europe. the very first time you decided to invest in Europe, were there some family members, friends back home that were discouraging and saying, no, don't invest there?
Well, nobody really discouraged me. The point I'm trying to make is for them to understand your struggle in making that money.
Okay.
It's difficult because they only see the money coming.
So that means
there's a common stereotype that, okay, once you're abroad, you make money and you have the money.
So that means none of your family members or friends will be happy that you're investing abroad, because there's no way that they're gonna manage it for you, because
it doesn't have to concern them anyway. It's my investment, it's not theirs.
Yeah, because I mean, family also have to. They, like they say in Cameroon, they have to lick the fingers. They have to.
Well, I can offer the little support I can, but for me to go invest in Cameroon when I'm not really there, I don't spend most of my time in Cameroon. Okay. I mean, for most of us who are residents here, okay, how many really do spend time in Cameroon? Most times we go for maybe Christmas vacations or any other holiday. We spend 2 weeks, maybe like a month maximum in a year. So sometimes some people don't even, maybe you go there 2 years, 5 years. How do you really reconcile that? For me, I think that's not a proper thing to do. It's always good to say, okay, maybe you have something back home that you can fall on. True. But at a certain point in time, when you're still building your life, build your life where you're resident.
But okay, yeah, that so you're still building your life.
Yes.
And you have properties already back home. So we can ignore that fact. You have properties home, you have businesses like you mentioned. So how do you feel? How do you emotionally navigate the feeling of being split between, because your properties that are back home, you are constantly, not constantly checking, but you are constantly keeping an eye on those properties.
There's a consciousness.
You are consciously awoken that, hey, I still have properties back home.
Unfortunately, I had to shut down every other business.
Oh, really?
But I kept property because we believe also that property appreciates.
Of course, definitely.
Yes. But I still have a little disclaimer on that, but it is true. Property appreciates. So for property we can keep.
So now, my question is now, how do you emotionally navigate the feeling of being split between in terms of property? You have properties back home, you have property here.
Just get your mind off it.
How can you get your mind off your money? That's your money that is there.
Yeah, it's true. But for me, if you really want to put your head on it, it's a lot more headache, Because so just get your mind off it. I mean, it's land is not something that anyone can easily just come and carry and go away.
But in Cameroon and most African countries, they can own your land. Somebody can come, like you said, people have documents, and then all of a sudden you come and then okay, just imagine you sit in Belgium and they call you this. There's a two-story building on your land.
I have that experience actually. I have 4 plots of land currently.
Yeah.
That I have that issue in Cameroon, and that is one of the reasons why I even feel discouraged investing back home with things like this.
So you have a plot and then someone is owning it. 4 plots. 4. Really?
4.
Oh my God! Wait.
4 with land title.
Wait. Okay.
4 plots with land title.
So it must be very challenging.
I still have this conflict.
Yeah. So it must be very. Wow! It must be very traumatizing even, because. And those 4 plots, you bought them, and I'm imagining they were not cheap.
Of course. Land is not cheap.
Of course, land is not. Like I said, not everybody purchases land in Cameroon or in back home. So if you have 4 plots, you have the landed property, you have ownership of these lands, and then someone or whatever, a group of people are owning these lands, and you are abroad. How do you fight this? How do you fight this war?
That's the disadvantage of being abroad and owning property elsewhere.
Wow.
Especially when you don't really have where you can't really fight it yourself. Wow. That's the challenge. That's why I said I'd rather trust the European system than trust that in Cameroon. Because here, at least, even if I'm not there, I can authorize my lawyers or whoever to follow up, and they do everything on my behalf.
I don't think it would ever happen. Maybe like 80 years or 90, 100 years ago in Belgium, that somebody has a land and then the other person is coming to fight.
The thing here is everything is notarized, right?
Yeah.
And there is no way someone will come and claim ownership over a property which is not in their name.
Of course, yeah.
So the moment you come and say, this is my property, We just need to go into the system and this particular area, who is it assigned to?
Yeah.
It's not in your name. It's not in your grandfather's name. It's not in any of your bloodline's name. So how do you claim ownership of this property? That's the difference, because everything is notarized and in the system. Anything done by the notary is done by the government. The notary represents the government. The notary here,
of course. Yeah.
The notary here is not a lawyer.
Yeah.
They represent the government. They're not government employees.
There are not so many notaries. I realized in Belgium. It's like a very it's a special job.
I hear being a notary here is it's a family business.
Yeah,
so it's passed down.
It's like if you are in Cameroon and then you want to be in Enam, it's like
it's one of the strongest occupations where you need it's one of the occupations where you need strong ties, strong connection in Belgium. I mean, aside politics and all of that, not being a notary is one of them.
So how do you, or have you ever felt guilty of investing abroad while others back home are struggling? Regardless of the fact that you have properties, especially for people who know you personally, and not necessarily family, but people who just know you, and they know, people who know you back home. And of course, like we know, we are immigrants and we come from developing countries and not always easy back home. We know the situation back home. Things are tough. And as someone investing, people might see you as somebody who is very wealthy, somebody who is a millionaire, in our common parlance. Yeah. They see you like someone who's very wealthy, investing. He has properties back home. He has businesses, and now he's investing. How do you feel? Or do you feel this sometimes like, oh, I shouldn't be investing here. I should be giving back to the company. I should be.
To be honest, I want to feel guilty. I'm looking for a reason to feel guilty, but I don't have reason yet.
Okay.
And the thing is this. I don't see the need for the reason why I said property is a good investment as well as it is not.
Yeah.
Is the fact that, well, especially for us here in Europe, we believe when you buy a property, you're accumulating wealth.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's a lie. And that's a lie, especially from the bank.
Yeah, of course.
Something the banks don't want you to know. I don't see the need for me to maybe build a house, for example, in Cameroon, and I don't live there. I don't even spend up to 2 weeks in a year. Or maybe in 10 years, I don't spend up to a month in that house.
Yeah.
And I have other people living in it. And the thing about property in Cameroon, it depreciates fast.
Depreciates much because, of course, the usage it's not even comparable.
I mean, property in Europe actually depreciates, and that's something hidden that we really don't know. Maybe we can discuss that. But in Cameroon, actually, property itself depreciates than it appreciates.
Yeah.
The real thing that increases value of property everywhere is not the building itself. It's the land.
Of course, yeah.
Buildings depreciate, land appreciates.
Yeah.
And if we look at it in relative terms, the land appreciates much faster than even the building.
Of course, yeah, because the building can be, it can be damaged, it can be broke, everything can happen to the.
A lot of things can happen.
Because there's a way that each municipality calculates its how do you call it, like appreciation rate of that municipality is based on like the development of the city or the infrastructure, whatever.
I think the city's development itself is one very, very major factor.
Yes.
In that calculation.
So they're not gonna value your building based on how tall it is or whatever, but the land, the surface area at which that building is what is the most important thing. Because any company can buy the whole land, break it down, put a different thing there at any time.
Yes. And then you were asking if I actually, we're still talking about me.
If you feel guilty sometime.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't feel guilty. Okay. I want to. I'm trying to find reason to feel guilty, but I don't feel guilty. I instead appreciate investing in property here in Europe because first, like I said, I trust the system.
Okay.
I know. I mean, even if I'm paying a mortgage monthly, there's actually value I'm obtaining from owning that property.
Yeah.
Value in the sense that, I mean, a lot of us, we believe that, okay, when you're paying a mortgage or when you own property, you're not paying rent. So, that's kind of money you're saving. It is true in a sense. But the one little disclaimer also, well, not a disclaimer, for us, African community, I think a lot of us have not really understood how property management itself works. And for you, the point I'm trying to make is for you to actually ensure that your property has value or increases in value is by investing more in it.
Yeah.
That's where maintenance comes in. And for a lot of us from the African community, we don't know how to maintain buildings, especially here in Europe.
Okay, so now talking about maintaining these buildings, do you have any properties in Cameroon? Do you currently own rental property in Cameroon?
I used to.
Okay, you used to.
I used to.
And what happened with the rental? You sold them? Or?
Story.
Okay, that's another story to be discussed for another day. So, because a lot of people, because I know a lot of people who have rental property, and one of the major challenges they have is with tenants in Cameroon, the caretakers, family.
Yeah.
So these are the three main problems.
True.
Because I have people who actually, I have a friend who has a rental property in Cameroon, and they had a particular tenant who threatened them. He's now in the US. He has a property in Cameroon, and there's this particular tenant staying in one of the apartments for almost 6 months without paying. And then he threatens the landlord and tells the landlord, "You insulted me, so because of that, I'm not gonna pay the rent."
That's terrible, and that's really, really not legal.
And then he goes to the gendarmerie. He goes to the gendarmerie and gets a convocation for the landlord.
So
so he's suing the landlord for insulting him.
This is where our system is broken, because you are already at fault, and because you take the first step to act,
it becomes legal.
It becomes legal for you, because I mean you are the one who invited the gendarmerie.
Yeah, but the landlord insulted him. That is also not allowed.
Anybody can insult anybody.
So he said because the landlord insulted, but so he had stayed in that property for 6 months without paying.
Yes.
And then the landlord had a couple of warnings. I
don't even know how he got to stay there for 6 months in the first place, because I believe as a landlord.
But he lives abroad, so those are one of the challenges of.
But I mean, if he lives abroad, he should have someone taking care of that property.
It is the person taking care of the property is a family member. So the family member is taking care of the property, and then the family member has put in a tenant that is a friend
to that family member.
Okay. So the friend to the family member is living in that property, not paying, and then so of course the tenant knows the landlord, and the tenant knows the landlord is in America. So the tenant tells the landlord, the house is damaged. It's not a nice paint. You promised to change the paint. You promised to do this. So
all these things are excuses. Excuses in the sense that before you moved into the place. Well, let's say I am the landlord, right?
Yeah. So no, you used to be a landlord. You had rental properties.
I'm trying to look at this case right now.
No, but talk about in the case where what or you didn't have such experiences.
I had those, but
exactly. So let's talk about your experience as a landlord.
Well, my experience as a landlord, I didn't actually own the property as my property.
But you were responsible for the property.
Yes. So what I did, I did I had a sublease agreement.
Okay.
So, in Cameroon, we have a lot of this guest housing and all of that.
Yeah.
So, the kind of investment I did was get a full building.
Yeah.
Right? With maybe about 6 apartments in it.
Okay.
So, you're renting the full building.
Okay.
You're paying the rent to the landlord, to the house owner itself. And then you are subletting through the Airbnb model, through a guest housing.
Yeah.
Right? So you've actually furnished, equipped the house and everything, and you have guests.
Okay.
And the challenge here is, especially at the time, you don't really know what happens in the building.
Okay.
So according to you, you have someone taking care of it.
Yeah.
You have someone taking care of the property, managing your guests and everything. But you're not seeing the money. And they come up with the excuses of, well, we didn't have guests today, or we didn't have this, or maybe we only had one or two. Maybe when you even make a referral yourself and you send, okay, that one is accountable for. But what about those that you don't know?
So yes. So now, how did you manage this? How do you ensure that transparency and accountability of your property, or of the property you are in ownership of, or maybe you are in that ownership of, is going on? There's accountability and there's transparency while you are not physically.
That's something very difficult to manage, because even if you establish, say, a system where all those things are registered, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not registered.
Okay.
I've had a manager who showed me records.
Yeah.
Of, well, this is not about real estate though, but another business.
Yeah.
So this manager showed me records of things he did with, let's say, finances coming from the income coming from the business, right?
Yeah.
So he's showing me, bills have been paid.
But it costs like the income statement.
Yes. So we made this amount this month. We've paid these bills. We've paid these employees and all of that. Then he suddenly, disappears. Right?
Oh, so he quits his job.
He didn't quit.
He just goes solo. He just
nowhere to be found.
And what happens to the business?
And then workers start. I don't know how they got to me directly, because I never discussed with my workers directly.
Okay.
So somehow they got to me directly
and said the boss is nowhere to be found.
Telling me the boss is nowhere to be found. We've not been paid. The bills have not been paid. This and that, all of that.
And you are in Europe?
I was in Europe.
And how do you manage this?
I had to shut down.
Wow. Okay. So does it mean that, because based on what you're saying, you didn't find a system that works, but that does not mean that they are not people that live abroad and have businesses.
There are
back
people
home
who do it, but for me, I think that is a risk they are willing to take. I'm not willing to take that risk anymore.
So you're simply saying that the risks are high.
The risk is high. Yeah.
So
I know a lot of people who actually own property and they do the same business.
So do they have a return on investment for these businesses that are managed by owners that are not present?
Maybe they do. I don't know, but in my case, maybe in the first months, yes, it was okay.
Okay.
But further down, you start having the thing with business in Cameroon is, when you start, you feel like everything is going okay.
So you mean the thing for businesses, for owners who are abroad?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So I'm talking specifically of you not having full control, like full
you're not physically
management.
present.
Yes.
Okay.
So in the beginning, it feels like everything is okay. It's just a matter of time for your workers, for your employees to understand how to game you.
So is it because that you think when workers or the responsibles that are put to manage the businesses realize that the owner of this business is not physically present?
That is one thing they try to take advantage of.
They take advantage of it.
Even if you're present, they still will find a way
to take advantage.
From you.
It becomes more evident when the owner is not.
That is it.
Of course, they know the owner. If the owner was to come, he's going to take maybe 2-3 days to be here.
And in the example you mentioned, you mentioned of the owner being abroad, leaving the property with a family member who
gives it to a friend,
who let the building to a friend.
Yeah.
Now it becomes difficult for you to collect money from your friend.
Of course.
Both of you are hanging out together, right? And now
that was actually the problem.
The landlord has to step in.
That was actually the problem.
The only way the landlord can step in is by telling you as a caretaker
to
You have
kick the
to
person out,
kick the person
and
out.
the person cannot kick the friend out.
In your agreement, I always like to emphasize this. In your tenancy agreement, always have the clause of, something, a consequence for faltering or your rent at least.
Okay.
So when you let, you should, even if you want to give a grace period, 3 months is a lot. By law in Cameroon, I think 3 months is okay to kick a tenant out.
It's also difficult to mention no conflict of interest in Cameroon because no man is always gonna be. It's always gonna.
Yeah. That's a bit. Yeah, that's
It's gonna be very, very difficult to say. Don't
when you're
accept
doing,
somebody because of relationship.
When you're doing business, I've dealt with a lot of people who actually are very strict when it comes to business, whether you're their friends or not. When you're doing business, there's no friend, there's no family. And I remember we used to go to many business places and you always see the sign on the door or maybe on the wall, and they tell you business is good when friends and family pay for their services.
Yeah, of course.
That's already a disclaimer there. That's something to tell you that, whether you're my friend or not, if you're coming for my services, as long as this business is concerned, you should pay.
Yeah. I had two questions here that you already answered. So I had a question where I wanted to know if you ever lost a property or fear of losing a property due to corruption or government interference. Of course, you already mentioned that you had the issue with the land, and of course, I might assume that it's corruption because you have the landed property, and if any other person is coming with another document whatsoever, that means it's due to the system. And the other one was, have you ever had to let go of a property because it became too emotional or financially draining? Of course, you let go of a business because it was. And so when you talk about letting go of that business because the manager disappeared, being in Europe, how do you consolidate your workers who have not been paid, knowing that now I have to pay them, let them go, and then I have to sell the business? Do you go down to Cameroon? Do you go back home, pay your workers, and then sell the business, or how?
Well, the way I did, for most of my businesses which had to shut down, what I did was just assign someone to help me with the legal processes.
Okay.
So I remember I only went down one time, and the only one time I went down because of a business.
Yeah.
Is because one of my employees was locked up.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I had to. They would not let her out until I was there myself.
Wow, those are some of the very difficult situations that,
yes,
as a business owner, you can find yourself in. Imagine you have a full-time job. Of course, you have a full-time job in Belgium.
And the thing is, the person who locked her up was a friend of mine who I assigned to manage my business.
Even much more complicated.
I begged and said, "Oh, please let her go." He told me he's not going to do that.
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, he actually that's someone that's.
He must be very strict.
So yeah, he's a very strict person. That's I applaud him for that. I don't know if he's ever going to watch this, but I applaud him for that.
For locking up a worker.
No, not locking up the worker, but being very strict. He's someone who doesn't really mess around when it comes to business.
That should be very nice.
Although he doesn't directly understand the pain of me making the money, he at least understood when I told him, "Please handle this for me."
Oh yeah.
And then he went in there.
He was doing his job, actually.
Yes, he was doing his job. So I wouldn't really blame him, but I felt pity for that employee.
Yeah.
Because I went there to the gendarmerie myself, and anyway.
The things we have to do.
Yes.
So let's we're going out to the parts of relationships. As a businessman, as an investor, we also have relationships. So where were you? Were you in a relationship at the point when you first started investing, or at what point? Where were you? Where were you relationship wise?
Okay, I'm going to answer this question with an advice.
And before you answer the question, let me complete my question. So, where were you relationship wise, and did your relationship influence your decision in either investing or start investing, or just give us, let us understand where you were at that in terms of relationship.
Okay. So first of all, investing back home didn't necessarily need to involve a partner for me.
Okay.
You know, but here in Europe, that's why I said I was going to answer with an advice. Here in Europe, I think it's very important to try to invest at least with a partner. There are advantages to that. One of which is, say you have a girlfriend or a wife.
Yeah.
You can actually do more, or you have more access to more income, more funds.
More funds from the bank.
When you put two incomes at least together.
Yeah.
You know. I'm not saying you cannot do it alone, because the thing is, we live in a socialist economy.
Yeah.
And in the socialist economy, they try to make sure that everybody is at least
at a
certain level.
Yeah.
So no one is too rich, no one is too poor.
Yeah.
You get. So it's actually still possible for you to have to make all these things by yourself. But the question is, how far can you go?
Yeah. Indeed.
How much can you do? All right. So if you bring in a partner, it doesn't necessarily have to be your wife. But let's say, okay, you buy in the first home.
Yeah.
It's important to do it with a partner.
Yeah.
All right. So you get that home, and there are tax advantages also to buying your first property.
Yeah.
You only start paying higher when you start going into the second or third. You know, that's how it is in Belgium, at least.
Yeah.
So investing in Europe, it's good to do with a partner. I did it with a partner, with my partner.
Okay.
All right. And when you want to go into the second or third, the advantage of having property, which I believe a lot of people, especially foreigners like us, do not yet understand, is the fact that you can actually open up doors to more capital.
Exactly.
So you already have a first home with your partner, of course. You should not only think of ending there.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of us get stuck. You can actually do more. I've met people also from Cameroon who told me they have 3, 4, 5 properties in Belgium.
Yeah.
And they've been here. I mean, I met someone last month or 2 months ago, a friend of mine, a very old friend, and she told me she owns 3 houses in Belgium. I was like, how did you do it? It's not like I felt it was impossible. I just needed to understand her trajectory as well.
Yeah.
You know, and for a lot of us don't really think that direction.
Yeah.
You know,
so
when you own your first property, that already is equity.
Yeah, you start building equity from your first property. Yeah.
That is something a lot of us have not understood yet. Yeah. So when you have that equity is like what we call back home collateral.
Collateral, yeah.
But then it is not something you go and hand over. It's just something for you to say, okay,
yeah, it's I have this.
This is the value right now. I need more money to be able to do something.
Yeah.
And then if you're getting maybe a second property, say you're getting it for as a rental property,
you're gonna use equity from the other one.
You use the equity from what you already own and live in. You're paying less taxes on that and everything. You take it into the second one.
Yeah.
You actually let the bank know, okay, this is going to be an investment property, for example.
Yeah.
They do the calculations, they do the maths, and see that, okay, this property actually brings you money. You cannot buy an investment property where you're paying more than what the rent itself is going to give you.
Okay.
So that's where real estate fails. It's successful when you actually have it income, cash flow from it.
Okay.
So whatever you're making from rent should be more than what you're paying as your mortgage.
Great.
And you can actually continue building equity there, and you continue in that same direction.
Nice.
A lot of I mean, I was thinking, if I just thought to myself, if you maybe come across maybe a Belgian family
Yeah.
who only own one house. Belgians are very popular for wanting to own their own houses.
Yeah.
So if you meet a Belgian family who only own one house,
Yeah.
it means that family is poor.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, of course. It's real estate
Because
in Belgium is like a tradition.
It's part of their culture.
Yeah,
it's part of their culture.
They just keep buying and buying.
Just own the property.
Yeah. So since we are talking about relationships and the realities, of course, you did say that you did mention that for your first investments, your partner didn't necessarily influence your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, your second investments or the investments in Europe had some. Your partner had some words to say with that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do the European law around divorce, co-ownership, or inheritance affect trust between couples, especially immigrants? Because a lot of immigrants, especially for immigrants who move to Belgium or to Europe, and let's say if a man moves to Europe
Mm-hmm.
or to any Western world, and they later on bring their spouse from back home. We've heard a lot of stories. We've heard a lot of stories that when the women come, they stay with the man, and then a couple of years later, they are maybe not the probability for them to still be together is 1-on-1.
Yeah. It's really
now,
shaky. Yeah.
in terms of investment, you might want to be very careful as an immigrant to bring your wife over and then invest in real estate, and then you have co-ownership. Mm-hmm. Knowing the laws in Belgium when it comes to the laws around divorce. Because when you have a co-ownership, no matter if you bought that property and the lady didn't pay a dime, mm-hmm. it's 50-50. Mm-hmm. So how, knowing this as an immigrant, because a lot of immigrants, when they move here, of course, when we start investing in properties, you start learning all these things, start knowing what the law says about divorce, co-ownership, inheritance. How does it affect immigrant couples?
Well, I think in this case, we really don't plan for things like divorce to happen, right?
But you should be aware. You should be ready.
We are aware of this. And this is where I'm going to say one thing which maybe your followers are going to shoot at me.
Yeah.
I don't know how well to put this.
Yeah, just say it.
I don't know how well
we don't mind. You should just say your mind,
I am very much in favor of getting a prenup.
Okay.
So before marriage, in Belgium, it's even possible to get a prenup while you're already married.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, before it was, they usually stated that if you get married and you need to get a prenup, you do it before you get married.
Yeah.
But now it's
neutral.
You can do it even today, even if you've been married for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, what a prenup does is it separates your personal assets and liabilities.
Yep.
All right. So, if you think that you got the property, if you have a prenup and you got the property fully 100% yours, even while you separate, that prenup protects you.
So the problem now is if you want to get a prenup and then you're still legally married to this woman, mm-hmm. that means you are already planning for divorce.
No, not necessarily.
No, because you cannot be with somebody and then you are intending, your plan is to build a future together, and then you go get a prenup and you tell your wife, okay, listen, getting a prenup because this property, I bought it with my money in case we separate. No, you don't have anything.
That is not the reason.
What do you think the woman is going to feel like?
That's not the reason for getting a prenup.
Of course, she doesn't want to stay with you.
Well, women have their ways of thinking.
Yeah, but of course,
But as a man, I think it is necessary, to be honest.
Exactly.
It's not so entirely because you feel like you might have to separate.
Yeah, but the thing is, for a man, I understand. I myself, I would want to do it, but I would not maybe do it because I'm not planning to separate.
You will not do it because you are afraid of your wife's reaction.
Exactly, because
that's the thing.
As a man, you want to protect the family. The goal of your relationship is to grow old together, form a family.
That is something we as Africans do not know because we didn't grow up in the culture of having to separate.
No,
But
another thing is that I might disagree because we grew up in an African culture, and now you are investing not in Africa. If the investment is in Africa, fine.
No, we have our roots in Africa. That's what I had to mention.
Exactly, we have our roots in Africa, but we are investing in Europe, and in Europe there are different laws. In Africa, if you would do that in Africa, your wife would not have. She wouldn't even have a say. She would say, okay, that's good, okay. But here, like I mentioned, when you bring your wife from Europe, from Africa, that's the reason why I said most of the times is when the partner brings their spouse from Africa. Statistics are numbers don't lie. We have seen a lot of couples who come and then after some time.
Yeah, that is true.
So now for this man, he's not sure that this is my investment that I'm putting. Imagine this man has been in Europe. He stayed here for 10 years, 15 years. 15 years later, he brought a wife. And then the wife came. 2 years later, they bought a property. The reason why I'm saying this because I know a couple that actually it happened. So, but in their case, they were 14 years. The wife came 4 years later. They bought a property. And then 3 years later, they divorced.
So,
according to the Belgian law, it's 50-50.
You have to split,
You have to split. So now, you are an investor. As an investor, my question was, how do this law now influence you? Because you are married, you have a family. When you think about the laws around divorce and how it does the 50-50 thing and how the law non-naturally favors women in Europe. What are you scared of this? Are you scared of the law? How do you navigate the law while investing? While continuing to invest?
Well, you already mentioned the intention for marriage is not to separate.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you go and you sign the thing,
if you have an unfortunate situation,
exactly,
you don't have asset protection, then you deal with it.
And
it is your loss.
And
as an investor, you must be ready and willing to embrace your losses.
So would you as an investor now that I'm asking, would you rather prefer to secure your investments rather than secure your marriage?
You should secure both.
How do you see that? How can you? So explain to us, how do you secure both?
I talked of being in favor of asset protection in terms of getting a prenup, for example. A prenup is just one way of getting of having asset protection, right? If you feel like you cannot do a prenup, which I really think you should, but if you feel like you cannot do a prenup, then you can actually do asset protection by other means. There are you can have a will. For example, I mean, I don't know the terms that are used here in Belgium, but in the US, we have things like trusts and all of that.
Trusteeship and
all of that. So you can actually have those. Within which your assets, you can actually cause your assets to be passed down directly to
the kids,
your next of kin or your kids. First of all, when you own property in Belgium, automatically your kids.
Your biological kids.
Even adopted kids.
Your biological kids become, in Belgium now, those are your legal kids. Of course, now they also indirectly own your property.
They actually own the properties, not indirectly, because if you die, even the ones you adopted, even the ones, maybe some woman just came and told you, oh, this is your child, and you signed the birth certificate. You can actually claim ownership to that property.
In the case where the owner had a will, the kids no longer directly own it. Of course, because when you have a will, that means you have now automatically removed.
The truth is.
A lot of people don't do will.
A lot of us don't have wills.
A lot.
So I was going to say this, right? A prenup is just one way of doing asset protection. For me, I don't see a prenup like a challenge to the marriage.
Okay, but do you think it adds? Do you think, like, because you have ownership, you have property ownership, do you think it adds pressure within the relationship? Because of course, the same way
it depends on your partner.
Exactly. Because the same way you are thinking about who invested how much. Your wife might also be thinking about these kind of things because, of course, we are all educated in Europe. The same way you're thinking about, what does the law say about this? Your wife also knows about all of this.
Yeah, that's true.
And she's aware. And do you think
the thing
all
is,
property owners now do have like some sort of pressure in terms of, in the worst case scenario, of course, nobody plans to have a separation, but in the worst case scenario, if these things were to happen, how are we going to navigate it? Do you think property owners have this pressure? Because people who don't have property, they don't care. Nobody thinks about this. Everybody, we are renting, we are paying our rent, we are fine. We don't think about this. But people who have property, they need to think about this. You might shy away from it.
If you go into property like a means of building wealth, right?
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of ways you can really, really protect yourself. I just thought of one right now.
Yeah.
So first I mentioned prenups. By the way, a prenup for me is not necessarily to strain your marriage.
Yeah.
For me, I see it like a way to compete.
Yeah, but if
you and your spouse to compete, so you can both invest separately.
Okay.
And if you have strong will, you can both compete each other. That's how you grow.
That is where now the pressure comes. That's why I talked about pressure.
Well,
because
maybe the pressure is in the sense that the wife feels like, oh, you want to rip me
exactly.
off.
That is the thing.
No, because we should be able to build capital even separately.
Of course, that's
and
advisable.
I should be able to boast that, okay, I am able to make this business, or I'm able to run this line of properties, right, and be successful at it.
Yeah.
And I also see that you are also doing maybe something else and you're being successful.
Yeah.
And we should be able to be successful even separately, even owning different sets of businesses or properties.
Yeah.
All right. That is one thing. Another way, as a property investor, you can really protect your assets is also by doing it in the form of a business, a proper business.
Yeah.
So not what we call in-man's act. That's not going to protect you.
Yeah.
But if you have an SRL or BV, that is going to protect you.
Yeah.
In the sense that a BV is what the US or UK they call an LLC.
LLC, yeah.
Good. So limited liability company.
Yeah.
It separates the company's assets from your assets, right?
Yeah.
So if you own that company 100%, it has nothing to do with your partner.
Of course, that's nothing to do with,
The company itself is its own entity.
Yeah.
You understand? So you can actually grow your asset portfolio through your company.
Through your company. And that is, of course, that is an entity by its own.
That's an entity on its own.
Yeah.
It's in the system as a person.
Yeah.
So that's a separate person doing its own thing.
Yeah.
All right. So if you feel like, okay, maybe at some point your partner might be a strain or a burden or something, just have it under a company and everything goes.
Do you have experience? Have you witnessed any property loss due to breakup or legal dispute in Belgium as an investor?
I don't. Well, I've seen couples who own properties and broke up, separated. I actually have a neighbor who, I think they are married, but before they got married, they were both divorced.
Yeah.
And they both own property. I don't know exactly how they managed that, but from what I gather from the man himself, with his ex-wife, they had to sell.
Okay.
So they bought the property, they bought their home, they lived there just about 5 years before they got separated, and they had to sell.
Okay.
But I see that also as a very big disadvantage, because when you sell, especially after 5 years, you don't really get much from it. You don't get much value from it.
Yeah.
Because first of all, the entire property has not appreciated much.
Yeah.
Secondly, when you sell, you have to pay what we call capital gains tax.
Yeah.
So that's something that goes to the government.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, maybe I don't know how much they might have put in.
Yeah, except that you sell for very, very high, but which is practically impossible.
That's why I said in 5 years, you cannot really get that much value. except maybe there is something like, I don't know whether it's inflation or deflation that makes prices really go up, house prices really go up, or maybe some other kind of say you bought maybe during Corona, house prices were
maybe very down, and then now, of course, those are exceptional
the things
cases.
have skyrocketed. Those are exceptional cases, of course. But on a normal day, you buy a property, and in 5 years, you don't really expect much from it.
So now so since we talk about relationships, you have investments in Cameroon, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And does your partner, what role does she play with all these investments? Does she have control over these investments? Does she manage it? Does she, in case you kind of fully run into, like you were saying, if you start managing a full entity on its own?
That question is a setup. well, not set up in terms
you did give a good example. Like, let's say you want to start competing with your wife,
Yes.
for good reasons, and you have let's say another business, and then you decide to fully concentrate in this business, and now of course that becomes an entity. Now you are fully concentrated.
Yeah.
You still have other investments in Cameroon. Are you still the one who's going to manage these investments, or what role does she play now with your investment?
The reason why I said that question is a setup is not in terms of my relationship with my partner, right?
Yeah.
It's in terms of government and control, and when you have there's a law in Cameroon. I've actually argued this with a lot of people.
Yeah.
At one point when I tried to acquire property in Cameroon, I invited my lawyer and all those who were involved, and I wanted to put in my partner's name.
Yeah.
And they told me it's not possible for a foreigner to own property in Cameroon.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know. These are new things. I didn't know this.
That's why I said it's going to be a setup.
Wow.
Because if I tell you now that, okay, maybe my partner has full control, or maybe she has some control or something like that, then you're inviting the government.
Well, okay, wait. Could it also be that you are giving us some setup answers, because you told us that you have a lot of properties but you no longer own them? Is it because you don't want the Belgian government to know that you don't have these properties?
You can actually put it like that. Well, it was an advantage for me.
Yeah.
When you several forms, especially tax forms, when you fill, they ask you if you're tax liable to another country.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of times they just want they want to know if maybe you have property or investments elsewhere. I've actually paid taxes for investments I didn't have in Belgium.
Oh, really? So is it
Belgium collected tax?
Is it tax advantageous to business owners? Because most of the times people think that if you have investments or properties abroad, don't mention it in Belgium because you're gonna pay a lot of money.
That's something you can only hide for some time.
Okay, but if you have like a very small business, how would they know? How would they find out?
Well, it depends on the country.
Oh, okay. But like Cameroon, if you can always pay one or two people,
you can maybe I don't know. I'm not very sure, not 100%, but maybe you can evade tax if you have business in Cameroon or investment in Cameroon. But within Europe, there are I think it's difficult.
Okay.
I mean, within the EU,
yeah,
it's kind of difficult.
Okay.
If you maybe you have residence in the US, for example. If you have permanent residence in the US, for example, you are tax liable to the United States as well.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. So you're gonna pay tax here and then you pay tax there?
Not necessarily. You must file taxes in the United States if you are a permanent resident, no matter which nationality you own or you have at the time.
Okay.
The moment you become a permanent resident, you must file taxes in the US. The thing with the US is they give you a kind of tax relief, a tax break or something like that. I don't know how they call it, but if your total income is less than, I think, $120,000, you don't have to pay anything. But once it starts going above, then you have to pay. Now, coming to Cameroon, I don't think Belgium has a relationship when it comes to tax. I don't think Belgium has a relationship.
I doubt
with
if
Cameroon.
the
But trust me, if you have a legal issue or a civil issue, something like divorce, for example,
yeah.
they're going to ask you if you own property or own business or asset or whatever anywhere in the world,
Okay.
and they can actually claim on that.
Wow.
So if your partner comes and says
That you have, he has something.
he has some property in Cameroon,
They'll dig deep. They'll find it.
yeah, you have to actually bring the documents. They have to evaluate it, and then since it's a kind of 50-50 thing, right?
She gets it as well.
So it's possible. It's possible that they might.
So is it a good thing that she should not know things? She should not be involved in these things.
No, that's a very bad advice. I wouldn't say that. Your partner should actually know. The thing with marriage or partnership is that you need to be able to build trust.
It's a business, of course. Any partnership, like I said, people call it relationship. I like to call it partnership because it's a business.
I'll be using the word partnership, right?
Yes, it's a
so
business.
Partnership here refers to whether you're still in a relationship or married.
Because it's a business. So let's talk about let's maybe go into one of the most interesting parts, because we've been talking about investing, we've been talking about buying land, buying properties. At the end of the day, somebody listening to us might be saying, this is talking about buying things as if it's all easy. Where do they get the money from? The most interesting part is the money. You need the money to invest. Either whether you want to buy in Africa, whether you want to buy in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
The money is the key. So my question would be, have you ever taken a loan? Or how do you get your money first? How do you get the money? How do you get the money to invest? Is it through loans? Is it through how do you get the money?
I mean,
either to invest in Europe or in Africa.
Okay, so the direction you're going, you want me to compare like
No, I don't want you to I don't want you to compare, but just give us a how do you get the money? Where do you get the capital? Do you in terms of loans, of course.
If you don't work, you can't eat, right?
Of course, if you don't work, guys, but I work, but I don't invest like you do. A lot of migrants do work, but how do we get the capital? That's the thing. Because is it through loans? And if it's through loans, because most of the time it's through loans, but how do you get the loans? Did you get the loans in Africa to invest in Europe, or do you get the loans in Europe to invest in Africa?
I think the West actually makes it easy
in terms of loans
to access capital. Yeah, in America it's a lot easier. Okay. In Europe, well, I think it's actually the same thing, but operating in different ways, right? Okay. Technically, there's a kind of credit valuation system that runs behind the scenes. In America, it's more open. You can know your credit score and everything. So did you get it from America? No. I'm just trying to make that. I mentioned the capital access to capital from the West. So I'm using America and Europe. Those are two different continents.
We know you're a global citizen. So let's be talking about where we are now. Where you are now. We are in Europe now.
Okay. So like I said, the West makes it easy to access capital, but then you need to build credit. Yeah. Right. And building credit just simply means you need to have at least a good amount of income.
Is it a starting capital or monthly income? Or
for you to buy property in Europe, you don't need starting capital.
Okay, take for instance, a migrant, a Cameroonian migrant or a Ghanaian migrant working a 9-to-5 job, they earn 2,000 euros after tax. Can they start investing?
Which is like the the net average.
That is the net average. Yeah. So I'm talking about the net average. Can they start investing?
Of course.
And how much would they need to start investing? Because you can't tell me that they don't need anything to start investing.
No, it's possible. It's possible even if you have no money in the bank.
Because it's like don't tell us like you can start a restaurant with 1 tomato.
Yes. I can tell you for a fact, even if you have no money in the bank,
Yeah.
even if you have no liquid cash,
Yeah.
you can actually start investing in Europe.
Okay. And how? Just give us some 1 or 2 tips.
So the most important thing, like I said, is your credit score.
Okay.
And
Yeah, but for the
you may-
layman,
you-
listening to us.
you may not necessarily know what your credit score is.
Yeah.
But you need to at least be in active service,
Okay.
right?
So you need to
So
have a you need to have a
you
job.
need to have an income,
Okay.
right?
A steady income.
Yes, steady income.
Okay.
So some people say you must have a permanent contract,
Okay.
right?
Which is true or not true?
I'd like to deny that, because you don't necessarily need a permanent contract.
Yeah.
But if you have a working contract, that gives you advantage. If you have a permanent contract, it gives you more advantage. It gives you more trust with the banks, because at the end of the day, you're going to get money from the banks.
From the bank. So that was my question. So is it easy accessing the banks? Now we are talking about Europe because we are in Europe. So take for instance an immigrant who earns 2,000 euros. That's the average income in Belgium. For instance, we're talking about Belgium now, not other European countries. We're talking about Belgium. So an average immigrant who earns 2,000 euros per month and have no, per se, capital income, and you said they don't necessarily need to have a permanent contract. Do you think it's easy for them to go to the bank, and then the bank is going to give them a loan to, like it, 150,000 loan?
When you put it that way, right?
Yeah.
You make it very limiting, because you mentioned immigrants.
No, because I'm talking about our case, because we have different expectations. Because for instance, I know that some banks, when you go to the banks, there are some certain advantages that nationals would have. For instance, let me give you an example. There's one time I went to a bank, I wanted to get a loan, and then they told me, yeah, if I had a parent who was a member of this bank, I would have gotten a certain percentage reduction.
Okay.
If I had like this, but now as an immigrant,
that is bank incentive.
those are bank incentives. But now as an immigrant, I might not get none of those bank incentives.
Well,
so which is kind of, it's not disadvantageous, but it doesn't play an advantage to me.
Well, you lost that incentive because you didn't have the relationship.
I don't have relation. Of course, I'm not born here. I don't have uncles.
I don't think it's about you being born here. It's about you having the relationship with the bank.
But if I had like
a parent or an uncle,
exactly,
or whoever, right?
But that is what most immigrants would not have.
So true.
Exactly.
But
so now that's the reason why we have a baseline. Our baseline is I get my 2,000 euros. I do my 9-to-5 job. I probably have a vast contract because I don't even want to go to the person who doesn't have a vast permanent contract.
Yeah.
And how easy is it for me to go to the bank and the bank is going to say, yes, we want to give you the loan?
It is quite easy depending on how much money you need.
Okay.
Because the bank values you based on your current worth. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
And the expectation for the bank is that your income has to continue growing. The bank does not expect you
yearly indexation.
Yes, indexation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the bank does not expect that your income drops. It expects that your income continues to grow.
Yeah.
But then they value you at your current worth.
Yeah.
Your current worth at that time is how much do you make monthly.
Yeah.
In most cases, they'll ask you for your past 6 months
pay slip.
Pay slips. Sometimes even 3.
Yeah.
Right. And that is sufficient enough for the bank to know how much they can give you.
Yeah.
So the first thing is for you to want to know how much your worth is at the bank.
Okay.
So you go to the bank.
Yeah.
You tell them, okay, I make this amount of money.
Yeah.
How much can you give me as a loan?
Yeah.
The bank can make all the calculations for you.
Yeah.
All right. So based on whatever the bank tells you, you can sample several other banks, because every bank has their own percentages and interest rates and indexations and all. I mean, they have different matrices that they look at, right?
Yeah.
So important thing is for you to go to the bank, ask them, okay, this is how much I make. They might also give you different kinds of incentives, like the one you just mentioned.
So
right?
do you think that do you feel like banks and financial institutions are accessible to migrants? Or do you think migrants might face extra scrutiny?
Um, I have two responses to that based on personal experience, right?
Yeah.
So I think as an immigrant or as a migrant, you need to get your stuff right. You need to get especially your documentation right.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned earlier from personal experience, I didn't have the right documents at the time I first attempted to buy property.
Yeah.
So I what happened then actually, I actually went to the bank to access my like how much I can get as a loan from the bank
To do like a simulation.
to do like a simulation.
Yeah.
So the bank actually told me, oh, you can actually access this kind. We can actually give you this kind of amount.
Yeah, of course they
Right.
would do it, but when it comes now to actually applying for a loan, that's where they now require to check your documents and everything.
Yes. So that's the backlog I had. So what actually prevented me from getting the loan at the time was my documents. So like to answer your question, it's possible that as an immigrant, as a migrant, you actually have this scrutiny.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that stops you from accessing
Yeah.
the funds.
Yeah.
But the law actually requires that if you meet certain requirements, you should get it.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think any bank or financial institution is going to be discriminatory based on the fact that you are a migrant or so. As long as you have sufficient documentation to get access to that funding, you should get it.
And so in terms of getting money, getting capital for investment, what kind of risks have you taken, and what did you learn from them?
So in getting capital for investment,
Yes.
here in Belgium,
Yes.
well, the the most risk I think I probably have made is investing or doing business in general.
Okay.
But in terms of accessing capital, the most anyone will probably have to do is to talk to the financial institutions and try to understand where you stand financially,
Okay.
how much you can get.
Great.
If you're doing some other kind of business, say real estate aside, if you're maybe planning to operate a proper business, right? You probably want to see a consultant based on the kind of business you want to operate, or still meeting with the bank together with an accountant, for example,
Yeah.
who will then tell you, maybe give you a few insights on what you need in the industry in which you want to operate in.
Yeah.
Because going into business is not necessarily having an idea and wanting to execute.
Yeah, you need proper knowledge. You need
proper
you
knowledge
need coaching.
of what, all of that. So that is very important. You need to go through this process to understand what you are going into.
So
the bank will not just give you money because you say you have a business idea.
Yeah, of course, especially when it comes to business loans.
Yes. So if you're going for a business loan, for example, one thing the bank wants to see is a business plan.
Yeah, of course. They want to see.
And a business plan is not just something you draw by yourself.
Not just something you got from
in most
ChatGPT or something like this.
Yes, of course. You have the idea, you put it down through, but you need to see maybe like a consultant.
Yeah.
And sometimes you actually have to go through a notary as well to get your business plan properly. It has to be notarized together with other documents like your after registering the business itself, maybe a certificate of incorporation and all of that, those have to go through a notary before you can visit the bank.
Have you ever felt, in terms of sociocultural expectations and maybe emotional economics, have you ever felt judged or misunderstood by your investment choices, especially from peers?
You've used some very big terms there. Maybe
so,
if you try.
Okay, so
sociocultural and socioeconomics, right?
Yes. So I understand that. Yeah, you're a young man, and you're an immigrant in Europe, And we know that most people at your age normally are not too, they don't indulge into investments. We know that sometimes when we come to Europe, we are still looking at, okay, we're just trying to survive, get our document, live our life, but we don't talk about investments. People, most immigrants who talk about investments are people who like have lived here for very long time. Like our elder ones. So now that you've been in investments already for a long time, and I can assume that your peers are not necessarily into what you are doing. So they might be looking at you like, okay, he's not in our league. So you cannot belong in a different league.
Okay.
So have you ever been misunderstood or misjudged by your own peers for the kind of choices that you made in terms of investments?
Well, the most misjudgment or misunderstanding, I can actually merge those two, is the fact that I think to some extent for some people have been overrated.
Okay.
Overrated in the sense that, well, as a young person who probably has some ideas and probably trying to see how to navigate the system, I have a mindset of not just survival, but actually achievement. Okay. Know? And that is different for a lot of my peers. You know? A lot of people, a lot of immigrants, as you put it, actually just want to survive when they come here.
Survival is the main goal. Survive. Yes. Survive and then help people back home.
For me, I felt like I had gone beyond the level of survival very long time ago.
Okay. Now you want to excel.
Yes. So it's more about investing and growing, right? Okay. And that's what even gave me the courage to want to attempt or try several things. I also have failed businesses here in Belgium.
Yeah, you must try before.
Registered businesses. Yeah. So the thing is, coming back to your question, right? When my friends, my peers see me trying several of these things,
they must be like,
everybody is like, doing? It's like, wow, they see me to be a risk taker, one. Which of course I am.
You need to be a very high risk taker.
But of course it needs to be calculated as well.
Calculated risk, yeah.
And then when they see maybe something you've been able to achieve, which is not the normal or not just ordinary, right? They feel like, for me, I don't there are certain things I don't value to be a lot.
Yeah.
But the way other people might carry the news.
Yeah.
Right? And make it, just amplify it. Oh, Phil has done this or he has done this again. Yeah. And it becomes something big, like a very big news.
And of course, when they see you, they kind of have like they kind of maybe look at you differently.
Yes, that's the thing. It's kind of intimidating for me, but I like it.
Okay.
I like it because it puts me at a certain level.
Social class.
Not necessarily the social class.
But at the level,
it gives me the kind of push I need, the kind of pressure I need. So imagine, let's say, for example, you are someone who likes kids, right? And it's maybe you come from a culture where everybody has like 10 kids. Yeah, you've already made your first 2. Yeah, within a short time you make the 3rd one, right? Yeah. People applaud you. Yeah, right. You feel motivated to make the 4th and the 5th and the 6th, until you get to that number. Yeah. Right. So that's how it is for me. When you struggle to get something, especially something which is not normal for your community, right? To attempt first and then achieve, right? And then you get those applauses. You feel like, okay, maybe you should actually do more.
Great. So let's talk about, so we are almost at the end of our podcast, and we are going to look at some reflections. Mm-hmm. Looking back at everything that has gone through, looking back at your path, do you see your properties as part of a legacy for your children, your community, or as part of your story when all is said and done?
Well, your story is your legacy, right?
Yeah.
So I'll like to dwell on my legacy.
Yeah.
And the legacy for me has to do directly with my children.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, whatever I do now, personally, I really don't mind what happens afterwards, as long as I know that whatever achievements I have now is being passed down.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the properties themselves, or businesses, also intellectual property, right?
Yeah.
So whatever achievement I make now, I do it for my legacy.
Yeah.
You get? So my children should be first and foremost the beneficiaries of whatever effort I am putting in right now.
Yeah.
Community, friends, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Much.
You don't care about it.
Not like I don't care. Not like I don't care.
But it's not a priority. It's not
a priority. There are several ways you can reach out to community. Yeah. But when it comes to building a legacy, right? Yeah. It's not something you do for your community.
Something you do for your own self, for your
something
family.
You do for your bloodline, for your family.
Especially when you start having kids.
Very good.
Then,
Very good. And a lot of times I sit and I try to reflect on something like this. And I just say, well, for now, Phil, you're doing good.
Yeah.
But you should do better.
Do better.
You know.
So,
and then you look at the opportunities. Where can I improve? And things like that. So there are always opportunities to do better.
So now that, of course, you did mention that you are a global citizen. And I hope that you will not answer that you are a global citizen.
Okay.
What does belonging look like when your assets are scattered across continents? Don't say you're a global citizen.
It's difficult. It's difficult to really manage things between different continents, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of belonging, I think establishing, well, something that you can always fall on wherever you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
It's good. Right?
Yeah.
So if I have property in Cameroon, I feel like I belong in Cameroon.
If you have property in Belgium, you feel like you're in Belgium.
Yes. So when I go to Cameroon, you're
not searching for kind of like
I'm not going there to search for a life.
Yes.
I already have a life.
Yes.
Get? If I come to Belgium, I already have a life.
Now that you're saying this, have you ever thought of selling everything? Have you ever thought of selling everything and starting afresh in one place?
It's possible. It's possible that might come, but for now, I'm not thinking about that. Because right now,
there's a possibility that can happen.
There is a possibility.
Okay.
And why I say so is because right now I'm focused on growth, right?
Okay.
In the long run, I need to think more about, say when my kids are grown, you need to understand your kids. You need to know from them also where they might want to settle or how they might want to live their life, right?
Okay, yeah. So
you cannot oblige them. You cannot oblige them to be running around and managing things here and there.
Exactly. So now that they are touching about this is a very good point. So now when the kids are grown, you cannot oblige them to, like you said, manage things. So
and every one of them will have their own life to live.
Exactly. So what role does real estate now play in your long-term vision? Because in the long run, the kids are growing, and you have properties scattered everywhere. So what do you think is going to happen when the kids are grown and then they also want to make home in a particular place, but then they not, and you don't, of course, you're growing, you're aging, and then you no longer have the strength to move up and down, and maybe the kids are not so into real estate like you used to?
Yeah. So I was actually coming to that.
Yeah.
Well, my intention is to make it easier for them.
Okay.
So like I said, I cannot oblige them to inherit me.
Yeah.
I cannot oblige them to manage
To follow
whatever I left behind.
Yeah.
It is not their responsibility to do that. As a matter of fact, a lot of family businesses are failed because of this kind of things.
Yeah, this kind of mindset.
Because the kids want their own thing. They don't want to leave their parents' legacy, and that is okay. But there should be something substantial for them that you leave back, right?
Yeah.
And I already earlier mentioned it's not necessarily about selling.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, you should find a way to make it easier for them. So if I have property, say in Cameroon, right?
Yeah.
I have property in Asia, I have property in the US, I have property in the UK, scattered all over, like you said. You can actually bring all of that under one umbrella.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Find maybe like a management company.
Yeah.
So you can assign everything under one management company. Either you own it, or you hire one.
Yeah.
All right, and put everything there, and then you just need to tell your kid or your kids, go to this management property. I have this worth of assets.
Yeah.
Okay. You can give power of attorney to the management company to maybe sell or rent or do whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
But the proceeds are going under your asset portfolio.
Yeah.
All right. That's how you make it easier for them. So the decision to sell can be you can either decide to sell or just hand over to management. Nice. The disadvantage with selling, and that's what a lot of rich people don't even do. Property investors don't sell.
Yeah.
Right? What they do, what was I even going to say? Okay. A lot of people don't even sell because of the amount of money they're going to lose when they sell, except the property is really, really valued very high than what it was originally worth.
The initial cost, yeah.
And that takes time. So except I've owned the property for like 30 years, for example, and I'm sure that, okay, in 30 years' time, the value now, there's one thing also about property valuation. It's not, for me, I think it's not like the relative value of the property really goes up.
Yeah.
Something that influences the price increase is, first of all, indexation.
Yeah.
GDP.
Yeah, of course. There's several things that influence.
As time goes on, income levels increase.
Even climate change also influences.
All of that.
There's a lot of things.
You have to understand also that properties themselves depreciate.
Yeah.
But then you continue putting money into it, and you have a certain threshold where, if you get a mortgage, for example, you're pumping money. The first 10 years, for example, I can guarantee that you're not even paying your capital. You're paying more interest. More than 70%, or maybe more than 60% of the money you're paying goes to interest, right? So you're already losing money from the beginning. You start making money after the first 10 years.
Of course, yeah.
Good. So if you're able to hold a property after 10 years and above, that's where you start making money. Then you've actually saved a lot, right?
Yeah.
In 30 years, say you're earning, the income level now is like 2,000, right? In 30 years, it could be like 4,000.
More than 4,000.
So that's a huge difference.
Of course, yeah.
Definitely, you expect housing prices at that time to have increased as well.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the relative value of that property to your income, it doesn't really change much.
It sometimes doesn't change.
Sometimes it doesn't even change.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you even look at it, if you calculate the depreciation as well and everything, the relative value has gone down, but the absolute value has really increased.
Increased, exactly.
So these are things that I think a lot of us haven't understood, but we need to know. I'm not saying property investment is bad or you're going to lose money. It's good to start early.
Yeah.
So that you accumulate this much value and equity.
So, I want to put it in a different way. Oh wait. So, do you feel you've found peace with your investment choices so far? Aside the one that gives you aside the four landed property that are giving you some headache.
To be honest, even those 4 plots, I think I'm just gonna let go.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of headache I don't want to handle.
Okay.
But if you ask me if I found peace with my investment choices, I'll say yes.
Nice.
I'll say yes, definitely. And I'm looking towards having more.
And in terms of someone, since you're not only a foreign investor, you are a continental investor. Do you? Of course, you're a continental investor.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you still dream of returning back home, or has that dream? Do you still dream of returning back home at the end of the day when it's all said and done? Returning back home, of course, I mean returning back to Cameroon, and then sitting down there, probably managing other possible investment that you would have made across the years. Is that still your plan?
I really cannot give you a direct answer to this question. Reason being that, like I said,
You're a global citizen.
I'm a global citizen. And being a global citizen means that I can
go home anywhere.
I can make any place my home, right?
Okay.
There are many things that come into play when you decide to make a place your home.
Yeah.
And well, if I should go back to actually answer one of the first questions you asked, where do you call home or something like that?
Yeah.
I'll say where I currently live is home.
It's home, yeah.
All right. So if you're talking about maybe retiring home,
we know as a global citizen can make anywhere home.
Yes.
But each and everyone has a home of origin. Mm-hmm. So that's what I meant.
Okay.
Your home of origin.
Officially,
yes.
My birth country is Cameroon, right?
That's your and home of origin.
For most immigrants like us,
yeah.
Right? The big expectation is that we should one day retire
home.
I think that's more like an early dream.
Yeah.
Because as time goes on and you realize that, well, life is somehow becoming comfortable where you are.
Yeah.
I don't think that vision of wanting to return to that home.
I think it should be another topic in this podcast because a lot of people do say they're gonna go back home, and then after 60,
to be honest,
they're still here.
To be honest, yes, that's the thing. That's the challenge also, and that's why I already started earlier by saying sometimes you feel like you want to go back home and you feel like you're going to make a lot of money and save and then gather all of the money and return home and start something, right?
Yeah.
First of all, starting something is not a guarantee of success.
Exactly.
Good. Now, if you're going back home or you're retiring home, what are you going back to? Okay. If you don't have something. Really,
but you are an investor, so I imagine by the time you would be retiring home, you would have investments. So for you, it's not a problem. So my question is,
you cannot say it's not a problem. Even Elon Musk is still investing.
But
right?
Well, and it might be right to say Elon Musk is investing in the foreign land.
Dangote is still investing,
and he's not planning to go back to South Africa anytime soon.
Of course, of course. So, I mean, the thing is, when you're making money,
okay,
I don't know if it's greed or hunger for more.
Okay.
But there's a personal, there's a competition that is personal.
So your answer is you're not retiring, you're not dreaming of going back home?
Anywhere for me is home.
Okay.
I think I told my dad the same thing.
You have to know that your family is listening. They're going to watch this podcast.
Yes, and I'm saying it again. If my dad ever comes across it, I already made it very clear.
Yeah.
And I said something which maybe some people might still come at me.
Yeah.
I said, if say I drop dead now.
Yeah.
Because that's something a lot of Africans don't even want to hear.
Yeah.
If say for example I drop dead now.
Yeah.
Right, in Belgium. Bury me here.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is still home. This is still home for me.
Yeah, of course. For me,
as a matter of fact, I'm even in support of burning the corpse. I mean,
a lot of Africans don't because even, I know. Yeah, for me, I also buy this ideology because it doesn't make sense to
To start.
For instance,
to start,
if I'm no longer alive, if I drop dead, and then my family or my friends here,
to start
they
shipping,
have to
to start shipping dirt.
They have to, yes, they have to, and it's not my major concern is that it's not cheap. It's about 9,000 euros.
That's true.
To send my corpse.
That's true.
So my family would definitely need that 9,000 to do a lot of things.
Of course, that's a lot of money.
For me, I'm of the idea that if I drop dead, my friends should actually contribute that 9,000 and send to my family.
Of course, that's very true. That's very
but
true.
If I would say that, they're not going to contribute that money to send to my family. But if I would say I want my corpse to go down, they're going to contribute that money and my corpse are going to go down.
The thing is,
at
the end of the day, you don't really have a say on it per se because
you're gone anyway.
You're gone anyway. So whoever takes up the responsibility to handle that funeral arrangement or whatever.
But of course,
they have the decision power at the time.
I think someone, whenever in so many years to come that I'm no longer alive, someone would find this podcast and they would say that he said this on his podcast.
So you've already made your will. You've made your statement.
I made my statement.
That's fine. I've also made my statement.
Now, please contribute the 9,000 or the 10,000. Send it to my family. Let them benefit. Let them cry my dad, as they call it. To cry my dad. So, well, to answer the question, that means you have no dreams of returning back to original home. As you said, your home is anywhere.
That's not a direct answer to my question.
Yeah, but you were given a political answer. So yes.
Let it stay political. Anywhere can be home. So I mean, if tomorrow I leave Belgium and decide to settle somewhere else,
of course that
and I decide to make that place home, that will be home. Okay, for me.
So one a few questions and then we gonna round up. So, what has investing taught you so far about your values, about fear, about resilience?
Coming to Belgium as a small boy at the time.
Yeah, almost 10 years ago. That's a decade ago.
Yes. And then looking at how life has been until this point.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually stronger than I thought I was.
Great.
The sense that in terms of investment, I've been through challenges that I never expected it,
Yeah.
So that already gives me more courage to push forward. There are battles we've probably fought within investing generally that, I mean, stories people don't even know about.
Yeah.
There are challenges that I face by myself and just try to, deal with it.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person who likes to deal with things by myself,
Yeah.
So I think that over time, it's been really worth it. I see that there is more potential than I thought, and there is generally I just feel like I'm stronger than I thought I was.
Great.
And I feel like I have grown, and I feel like I'm going to continue growing. So
nice. And if one was to ask you about the future of African diaspora investment, what would you say African diaspora investment look like? Do you think a lot of people are now getting into investing, especially when I mean by Africa diaspora investment, I mean Africans investing in Europe, not necessarily back home.
Yes.
So what do you think? Do you think, because for instance, a lot of when you are in Belgium, for instance, and you go to Brussels, there are some neighborhoods that are called there are some Jewish neighborhoods, and when they mean by Jewish neighborhoods, that means that
mostly
that neighborhood
inhabited by the Jews.
They're inhabited and they're owned by the Jews.
Owned by the Jews, yeah.
And when you go to other places, you see like Turkish neighborhood, they're owned and inhabited by
them, yeah.
But the downside is that you always hear of African neighborhoods, you rarely have African neighborhoods
owned by them.
And
that's, well...
So what do you think the future looks like for African diaspora investment?
I think first of all, we are limited by ourselves.
Okay.
Right?
Is it because we have so many family problems, or we have to solve?
It's not necessarily family problems. We don't have a system that works.
That works for us, or that works?
That works for us.
Okay.
Well, but I still believe the trajectory is changing.
Okay.
We still need time. It's going to take so much more time for us to actually get there.
But I think more and more, well, in my opinion, I would say the mindset is kind of changing.
That's why I said the trajectory is changing.
Yes. So more and more Africans now are getting into real estate, not necessarily investing in real estate, but they're starting to own properties abroad.
And why I said we don't have the system is that these communities you mentioned, they have strong communities where they come together and actually do these things.
Like if they invest in group investments, kind of stuff like this.
Group investments. And that's one thing I'm really particular about. We have a lot of social groups within our like African diaspora community. We have a lot of social groups, but we don't trust ourselves enough to come together and do something.
But is it because they don't talk about this kind of investment? Because most of the social groups that I know that exist around, they're more of cultural,
more cultural.
Yeah, they're more of cultural oriented. So they're kind of replicate the culture.
Yes,
kind of do more of. It's just like you said, it's a social lifestyle.
Yes, it's more about social life.
Social life, yeah. It's not about economic. It's not economically.
It's not economically driven. Yeah, there's no economic growth within.
Exactly,
and that's why I said I'm really particular about it, because if we can actually bring these discussions into our communities, into our circles, like where we meet, we have so many of them, so many cultural groups, so many community gatherings in general
that are kind of irrelevant in terms of economic investments.
Very, very irrelevant. You're right. So I think these are things we need to bring into onto the table and discuss. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be within these social gatherings.
Yeah.
Even as friends, I earlier mentioned when you want to make investments, it's good to do it with a partner, because then you have more access to funds and all of that.
Yeah.
Now, it's the partner. A partner may not necessarily be your spouse.
Exactly.
You can have
maybe a group of friends.
You can bring 2-3 friends together.
Yeah.
You weigh your income levels.
Yeah.
You have an idea, investment idea or something.
Yeah.
And you go into it. You can go to the bank and say, okay, put 4 of us, 5 of us together.
But the problem
how much can we get?
The problem now is going to be the trust issue, like you mentioned.
No, if you set up proper management strategies, you can actually do it.
Yeah.
What do the Moroccans or the Indians or the Israelis do?
Yeah.
They come together, put the funds together, acquire property. And they don't go for house ownership. No. They go for investment properties.
Yeah.
You know, they buy rent-to-rent building. Rental properties.
Yeah.
They buy event halls and all of that. You know, those are income-generating properties, right? They do it as a group.
So how do you now define success, or how would you define success today? Looking back 10 years ago, the young boy who arrived Belgium a decade ago, arrived as a student, today a homeowner, business owner, property. Yeah, you have investments. You're an investor, continental investor, like I would say. Intercontinental investor. How would you define? What was your definition of success when you moved to Belgium, and how is that definition today after having experienced all this parcours in terms of investment?
I'll be very honest. Moving to Belgium at the time felt more like survival.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, it was more like just make a life.
Yeah.
But it didn't take me so much time to realize that I needed more than survival.
Yeah.
It took me less than 3 years to understand that I needed to be on my feet and actually start doing achievements.
Wow. That was fast.
That was really fast.
Because a lot of people understand this after a very long time.
Yes, that's true. So it didn't take me much time to understand where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
You get? And I'm still not there, but I'm getting there.
Great.
Irrespective of whatever challenges I may be facing right now, I still believe we live in a very good, economically it's favorable.
The opportunities are there.
The opportunities are there.
It's an open
Good.
It's an
but
open
the thing
road.
is, you need to explore and tap into those opportunities. If you don't go for it, you cannot get it. You cannot know.
Indeed.
Right? So I think it's about sourcing those opportunities and then going for them. That's what success looks like.
And looking back these years.
The years ended.
Yeah, no, looking back, like more than 10 years ago when we were still in Cameroon planning to move, what would you tell yourself, your younger self, before making your first investments? Because now you've understood the investment game, you have understood the pros and cons of what kind of investments. What would you tell yourself? What advice would you give yourself, your younger self?
You know, when you ask this question, I remember my early years in Belgium. I think even back in Cameroon, we were usually asked to write an essay to your younger self. And I don't actually remember what I used to write then. I've written essays. I wrote an essay to my younger self in English, in French, in Dutch, but I can't remember what I wrote, to be honest. But I believe a lot of it has to be centered around success. You just imagine, in future you're going to be successful anyhow,
of course.
Right? And well, I don't know, 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago, I don't even know where I was.
What would you tell your younger self 10 years ago? Do this, don't do this, do like this, do like this. Because of course you didn't know some of the things, but now you know. So the reason why I'm asking this is for you to be able to say something that some young person
can learn from.
Learn from. So it's like you giving an advice now to your younger self. Your younger self now, of course, it's no longer you, but some other young people listening, and maybe they are at the same position where you were 10 years ago. Maybe they just arrived to Europe or they just moved to another country.
I don't want to say the normal things everybody will want to say. Oh, be ambitious. Oh,
no, of course, yeah. You
all
go ahead and give them a strategic. You are speaking to a younger self. I
should have planned this already.
That's the reason why we don't plan. I don't give nobody questions. Yeah. It's a real talk.
It's a it's a difficult question to answer. At the same time, it's quite easy because I can easily just say, "Oh, be ambitious, aim for your goals, and struggle to achieve them, and all of that." But then, for you to achieve those goals, you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? You don't just wake up and say, I want to become this or I want to do this, and you wake up and do it.
So let me give you an example. So would you tell your younger self, starting about real estate is a good thing, it's a good business? Or would you say your younger self, don't think about real estate now, or wait until you get your feet settled in whatever country?
I would say, use real estate as a way to preserve wealth.
Okay.
So you're building a portfolio in real estate, not to be rich, not to be wealthy, but to preserve your wealth.
Okay.
Because real estate doesn't necessarily make you rich.
Yeah.
It makes you wealthy.
So, but you would advise them to look into real estate.
Good. I will do that. I'll definitely do that.
Okay.
That's one of the best advice I can ever give. When you make money, or when you plan to make money, look into real estate.
Great.
That's the best kind of asset you can actually have to actually preserve your wealth.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, you need to know how to make wealth. So that's where I find difficulty in giving advice, because making wealth is not making wealth through real estate. You need to make the wealth first. You need to make money first.
So you're in the later and then go get a job, stay in your job, and then once you're working, start looking into.
At the end of the day,
You have to save, of course.
Well, at the end of the day, you need something income
You need a job.
generating, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you don't pick real estate, right?
Yeah, of course. So
You need something to make to generate the income.
exactly.
I'm looking also comparing someone who is back in Cameroon and someone here. We don't have the same opportunities.
Exactly.
You get. Yeah, I have access to funds. In Cameroon, it's not necessarily so.
So what advice would you give to somebody now? Because of course the advice you would give to somebody in Europe is that okay, you get a job, get a sustainable income, and
Good.
then of course think about real estate.
Exactly.
And then what about somebody who is in Cameroon? It's an African country. They may be not be in a position to get a sustainable income, but they may want to get into real estate. What advice would you give them?
I've got to understand that even real estate in Africa generally doesn't necessarily require you to have income
Okay.
to invest. If you've got perhaps some good marketing skills,
Okay.
everybody in Cameroon now is probably a marketer. Everybody is selling something to someone, right?
Yeah.
If you've got those skills, you can actually market real estate
Okay.
and start gaining from there. That's a job for you, right? It may seem like self-employment, it may seem like a long journey, but if you master your craft, you can really do good at it.
Okay.
I'm not saying everybody should go start advertising real estate though. You can actually do something else, sell something else,
Yeah.
right? The important thing is for you to have a skill, a marketable skill that you can actually cash out from. I think by now we should have gone past the era of wanting to depend on the government
Yeah.
or on the system in general
Yeah.
to employ us. All right?
Yeah.
For some of us, we cannot even go back home right now and say, oh, we want to go start doing, because it may feel embarrassing, but there are people who actually have the courage to go do that. Again, but for someone who is already in Cameroon right now, look at even the Bible says that God is going to bless the work of your hands, right?
Yeah.
The work of your hands it's not a necessarily physical work. If you have if you have brains, explore what you can actually do with whatever skill you have and see how you can expand yourself, how you can monetize.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. How
That's
you can
monetize.
monetize whatever skill you have.
Monetize any kind of skills, whatever skills you have. That is an advice.
Yes.
And the last advice, the last word is for, I want to give you the opportunity to give the last word for us, our brothers and sisters, migrants living in the West. What advice would you give to our brothers and sisters who feel stuck between two walls? So when I mean by two walls, it's feel stuck between living in Europe and back home and doubting whether or not they should be investing here. When I mean here, it's either you're living in Belgium, Canada, US, here or back home. What advice would you give them?
The only advice I can give is pick a place.
Okay.
It's difficult,
Okay.
especially if you're still starting out. It's difficult to do it in multiple places.
Yeah.
You can do multiple places when you're expanding,
Okay.
right? That's a mistake we make.
Yeah.
Pick a place, most likely where you are, where you spend most of your time.
Yeah.
That's the best place to invest in. And for most of us who do a 9 to 5, or even if you have a self-employment, you already have an income. You already have an income which allows you access to some capital.
Yeah.
You can start by getting a home.
Yeah.
That's one. You get some tax breaks from there, and a lot of tax benefits when you get a home and a family and all of that. Then from a home, you use that home, get equity,
Yeah.
and get more property.
Yeah.
That's very important. Don't just end up owning a home, but have the mindset of wanting to use that same home,
Yeah.
get equity from it, and acquire more property. That's the best advice I'll give where you are.
Thank you very much. And with that, we come to the end of our podcast. And the advice was pick a place. So if you are an immigrant living in whatever country and thinking about where you should invest, like you heard from my guest, his advice is to pick Oh,
Pick
of
a
course,
place.
he did give a disclaimer to say that he is not a real estate advisor, but based on his experience, his challenges, and everything that he has gone through, he has decided to say, if you want to start, pick a place. And of course, I strongly agree with what you said. Thank you very much for making it to this podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and
I hope I didn't disappoint my
no, you didn't.
my viewers.
No, you didn't. You didn't disappoint.
All right.
And the
Thank you
listeners.
very much.